Beneficiary designations. We've been talking about them. They're important to make sure that they're up to date, that they have the right people listed. But when I meet with a lot of people, they have their spouse listed first, and then as their contingent beneficiary, they have their kids. Here's why that may not always be the right decision. So number one, and the most important reason why not to name your kids as beneficiary designations is if your kids are minors. If your kids are under the age of 18, they cannot inherit assets. So you do not want to have them listed as contingent beneficiaries on your accounts, because then all of that money is going to flow right into probate court. The judge is going to appoint a conservator, and that can be whoever the judge wants to appoint. It could be a person, it could be a professional, it could be your ex-spouse, we don't know. And that conservator can charge up to 5% fees to manage this money. Then when your children turn 18, they're going to get a lump sum check for whatever's left over from those accounts. And I don't know about y'all, but when I was 18, I would have had a lot of fun with a lump sum check for a lot of money in downtown Athens while at the University of Georgia. So definitely not the ideal situation. So usually we do not recommend listing minor children as beneficiary designations on your 401k or life insurance or anything like that. That is what a revocable living trust comes in a lot of handy for. If we have that revocable living trust, then we can name that as the contingent beneficiary. And then within the trust, we say how and when your kids will inherit. And that makes it much cleaner. It makes sure that who we want managing the money is managing the money. And it makes sure that your kids inherit when and how you want them to inherit, not a lump sum check at 18. So that's a really important reason why naming your kids as beneficiaries is not the right reason. Another reason that you may not want to name your kids as beneficiaries is if one of them has a permanent disability and qualifies for government benefits. Please do not list them as beneficiaries on any of your accounts, because then they will be disqualified from government benefits. So if we have a special needs loved one, we need to create a supplemental needs trust, otherwise known as a special needs trust, but in Georgia, it's a supplemental needs trust. And this is what we need to list as the beneficiary on accounts, not your child's actual name, because that will disqualify them from those benefits. So another really important reason why not to name them as beneficiaries. The other reason that we may prefer to name a living trust instead of your children, even if your children are adults, is that the trust is going to have a lot more what ifs. So if one of your kids passes away, if one of your kids becomes addicted to drugs or alcohol, the trust has provisions to guide for that versus beneficiary designations do not. So we do just want to make sure that even if your kids are adults, if we're doing a revocable living trust, probably ideally your revocable living trust is going to be listed as that contingent beneficiary, because we just have so much control, more control over what happens in all of those just in case scenarios. So there are a lot of reasons that naming your kids as beneficiaries on your accounts may not actually be the right decision.